there, Shawna Karrasch here with another Ask Shawna answer. This one comes from Lexis, and it says, my question is regards to going from inside the arena to outside. I feel like when we are at Liberty in the arena, Stetson, my gelding, is very in sync and well below threshold with Liberty leading. On our way to and from the arena, however, he seems to go over threshold so easily that I find it hard to work on anything except making it to the destination. I feel like I need to break down the task further, but I'm not quite sure where to start. Could you give some practical ways to break it down and what that would be acceptable at a boarding barn? Thank you. Yes, Lexis, and this is a great question, and I'm going to tell you, this is a really common question, and it goes down to Liberty leading, which it sounds like you're doing quite well in the arena. And a lot of times what they do, they have different triggers or, different tells in their world. So he probably knows when I'm at Liberty and doing these sessions, it's different. I'm going to pay attention. There's something in it for me. And so he slows down and he realizes a session is happening. But when he's led with a halter and lead rope, he has a longer history than this new Liberty leading and stuff. So he probably doesn't even think about it as much as he's conditioned to react to it in a certain way. So what I would suggest doing, and we see this all the time, because, there's a lot of places where the person handling them is one thing, but then you go to their barn, you go to where their living place and other people are handling them and they're just kind of handling them in the old way, and it can kind of revert back to some old habits. So, but what it does tell me is he still finds it more reinforcing to be worried, evasive, not to slow down and focus, and probably doesn't feel as safe when he's doing the traditional style leading, but not so good when he is doing, the Liberty stuff. And also in between there, you have things that can come up and happen that in the arena, one, he has the safety of knowing he can run away. So he's like, well, I'm not trapped into anything, I can run if I need to run. And a lot of times that makes them bolder. It's like teaching a horse to load in a trailer at Liberty. Oftentimes they may say no at first, but when they make the choice, a lot of times it can be emboldened by the mere fact that they can get out of there if they want, so they're not feeling trapped. So I think that could also be something that's going on, is there's a lot of stimulus going on outside the arena that also may be worrisome, and we never really know typically what their history is or has been, so as much as we've even had them and done stuff, there's still things that can happen that we don't know. And typically our horses come to us from somewhere else. We really don't know what happened. So it's a mystery. Don't worry about that part. But what I suggest doing is taking the Liberty leading. I would get him if there's two ways to do it. One is walking to the arena, make that the session, but treat it like a Liberty leading session. So stop, have him, and I'm assuming that he knows when you stop, he keeps his head to himself. Stops, keeps his head to himself. Stop, keeps his head to himself. Well, so I'd break it down to that little task, because what we typically have created, particularly with Liberty leading, is that they love this little task. This little task is safe, and they know what to do with it. So what I suggest you do is, and so by that point, okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked there, but by that point, usually they find safety in that. Because of the classic conditioning, that task, that exercise is very reinforcing and actually has endorphins and dopamines and safety and a lot of clarity. And clarity can bring relaxation. And with that exercise, even if you need to go back to the stall or the paddock or wherever he lives and really practice on the stop, turn your head away, soften and relax. Take a step, stop, turn your head away, relax. Take a step, stop, turn your head away, relax. So that he loves that exercise. So if I come across a horse or I'm having trouble with a horse leading, because we have it at our Terra Nova too, the other people will handle them and take them in and out, and once in a while they don't keep track of things as well as I might like to, but you'll kind of realize you're going to, or there's some stimulus outside in the environment, and I realize you got someplace to go and you are just way over threshold. So what I do is I stop, take a step, have them turn their head away, click and reinforce. take one step, stop, and I don't care if it takes me 30 minutes to get there, but I break it down until I can get them practicing this new way of going. And what I find is when I take the one step and stop and have them stand with their head to themselves, a lot of times they lean their weight on that outside shoulder a little bit, and I find what they're doing is they're focusing. So I'm helping them, instead of being focused on all the things that are around them, they start kind of, and where I'll actually click or bridge is when I see them, the eye come back to me. So I may stop and they're looking out, but that moment I feel like the eye comes back to me. Doesn't have to be directly on me, but I can tell that eye takes me back into their realm. I click and reinforce that. So I'm kind of really trying to teach them it's a focus. Slow down and pay attention to me and really use that to help them. So use that exercise and break it down. And when you feel like they've kind of made the choice to really work with you and stick with you, the next thing I do is I will then take 2 steps. And if that's too much, who cares? I don't really care. I'll just go back to 1 step for a little bit. If 2 steps works, I'll do 2 steps. Stop, slow, keep your head to yourself. And what happens also with them anticipating the stopping and keep their head to themselves, they have a real tendency to slow themselves down. So instead of just looking around, they're stopping and anticipating this one little piece. And so they're wanting to do the exercise and looking forward to the exercise. And that exercise should help bring some clarity and some relaxation. So if you need to, you can go to my podcast, Equine Clicker 101, and on there, I think it's lesson 2 is Liberty Leading, and that can be one that can help you. Where I address this a little bit more. But really, whenever I have an issue with leading, I go back to Liberty Leading, but with stuff on. You know what I mean? It's the same exercise. So the halter and lead rope is an incidental. And if you need to help remind them about doing this, and maybe the halter and lead rope is a trigger for this is different than without, do it in the arena with the halter and lead rope. So you can just first put it over his back and just say, okay, we're going to walk, we're going to stop, we're going to turn our head away. We're going to walk, we're going to stop, we're going to keep our head to ourselves. I don't want it to be a big action, but I do want them to kind of think about keeping slightly over in their space. And so go back and do it with the halter and lead rope on, with the lead rope over the back, then do it holding the lead rope. But really, really, really try not to hold on to the halter and lead rope as to make them do something. So that's my first thing. And keep in mind, when this becomes stronger and stronger and stronger, I find it starts carrying over to the other people who are leading them and doing stuff with them. Or at the very least, they'll get where they're like, with you, I don't do this. With other people, I may do other things. But with me, they keep it together. But oftentimes I find, because I get to watch the guys leading the horses around, and I find oftentimes it really helps them to lead better with others as well. So they kind of generalize with that. If you need to, now this isn't my favorite way to go, but if you need to, if you're feeling like he's kind of almost unsafe to get to the arena, use the target in this exercise. We want to fade the target because the target can make them a little bit more excited and it becomes a crutch that they can rely on, and we still need to fade it out of the equation because we want them focusing on the person, not the target. But if you feel like you're really losing them and unsafe, you could use the target to kind of stop and slow it down. But what I would do, at first I would click them for touching the target, work on the downward transitions. And this is a big key. So when they're leading along and it's a horse with too much energy or too nervous even if it's freezy energy, it's still not relaxed. I work on the downward transition because that's the point where they're choosing to settle, they're choosing to relax, they're bringing their energy down. And that's what I want to teach them to do. It's a really important part of impulse control, and it really starts, for me anyway, in the program I like to do, it really starts with that Liberty Leading. So they're going to get startled at stuff, but what we want to teach them to do is go, I was going to check in with my human, and keep an eye on you. And that's where we want to go. So if you need to use a target for a little bit for safety reasons, I get it. But once you get to the arena, I would not use a target. I would just work on the Liberty Leading with the halter. And you can even go out of the arena and back in, and out and back in, until you kind of get the idea and you're raising the criteria a little bit. So, and even if you need to for a few days, a week, whatever, just work on maybe leading and not take him all the way to the arena, but maybe just saying, we're just going to go out, we're going to take a little walk around the barn. One of the things I do when I do this, because a lot of times if we take a worried horse too far from the barn, the adrenaline starts stacking up. We start have trigger stacking and adrenaline's piling up and they're getting more and more nervous. So I'll have a tendency, I'll take them out I'll do like clover leaf. So I take them out when I feel like they're nice and relaxed out there. I click, I reinforce, I feed them a lot, and then I take them back inside. So I don't feed them as much for going back inside because that already is relaxing. What I do though is I feed them the most when we're out there, but in order to let their adrenaline come back down, I come back inside and said, okay, let's reset the adrenaline, let's get it back down, and then we're going to walk out another door and we're going to make another clover leaf. As we're going out, we're good. I'm going to click and relax. I'm going to click and feed the relaxation or the settling or more relaxed than before. So I may stop in there like this and then I see them like this, and that's better. I ultimately want them like this, but I'm going to take those gradients where they're choosing to settle and relax. So I'm going to reinforce that. Then I'm going to come back in, not reinforcing with food as much because the coming out of the aversive scenario is reinforcing. And then I will do it out a different door. So that's another kind of tool that you might use, which may help you with that. So, Lexis, I hope that helps you. There's a lot of pieces in there that can be helpful, but in a nutshell, I boil it down to liberty leading. There's always so many techniques that I can think of for any given situation. So, hopefully this gives you some ideas. If you have more questions, you know where to get a hold of me. Go to www.shawna, on-target-training.com. I think you can go to askshawna.com, and I think you can go to shawnakarrasch.com. But you can definitely Google Shawna Karrasch and find all of the things. On my website, I have the Ask Shawnas, and I have my podcast. So going and searching through those episodes is really a good way to go. And I also have the YouTube channel. And if you want to find more about what I'm doing, what we're doing out here at Terra Nova Training Center, you can find it. It's terranovatrainingcenter.com, but you can also find it by Googling Shawna. You're going to find Terra Nova Training Center as well. And you can go sign up for our newsletter there, and then you'll stay abreast of what we're doing. Anyway, so Lexis, I hope this gives you some ideas and some things to think about. I appreciate your question, and if you have more, you know where to get a hold of me. Anyway, until next time, enjoy getting your horse on target. Bye.